Hello and welcome back to Pixel Perfect. This is episode 51, and we have been on break for a couple of weeks. And well, I say we've been on break for a couple of weeks, but of course I've been in the game and doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, getting some things that need to be taken care of off camera. Especially stuff like production for the fireworks. As you can see off in the distance, there are still packages. The event has not ended for Fixmas, though we are more or less done with Fixmas for ourselves. But yeah, we're going to have to go back to the Dune Desert, and we'll see a little bit of what I've been doing. But the main reason why we need to go to the Dunes Desert is because we are ready to start the next step of the current step of the space elevator. We have been storing the cables and trying to get ourselves up to the 1.2 million. And in my time between episodes, working on fireworks and whatnot, those have completed. So that's something we're going to take care of today. We also are going to go on a hunt for hard drives because we are approaching endgame. I'd say we are entering endgame because we are in the last milestones for the space elevator. And while we still have a lot to do and we have some major production facilities to still bring to online, we are getting to the point to where there are not many objects left to unlock that would benefit from processing new hard drives. So I want to run around and utilize these towers that they gave us in update 6, which now tell us if there are any unclaimed hard drives within this radius. we have 4 near home as it is. So we are going to do that as well. And we'll see how time goes. But our next project is going to center around batteries and drones. So if we look at batteries, you see that it's going to require some sulfur, it's going to require some bauxite or aluminum solution. And these are things that we're going to have to work out. Where do we want these? And how do we actually want to go about it? There's also an alternate recipe that we might want to use. So I think we're going to head over to the Dunes Desert real quick and get some initial stuff started for the space elevator so it's running while we're going. And then we'll start looking for hard drives and see where that takes us. So I will catch you guys at the desert. All right, so here we are back at Santa's workshop, and as you can see, the yard is kind of filled up. This is all temporary. I'm going to tear all this down. Don't worry about it. That's why I haven't bothered to paint it or try to make it look like snow. Although honestly, the concrete almost looks more like snow. But I just needed some temporary manufacturing, and I've been doing this, of course, during our break, just to ramp up some of these because we have way more package intake than we need, and there was a lot to do. As you can see here, making fancy fireworks, for example, are only 2.5 per minute, and they stack to 500. So that's a lot of production, and as you can see, I've overclocked a bunch of them. These were the power shards that we received from the Advent calendar, so I put them to good use. And again, this is all temporary. And I also wanted to show you this. This is what the fireworks look like when they are on a belt. It looks more like a missile manufacturing facility for high-end weapons than it does fireworks. But we're going to have at least one storage full of each firework. You can see here we're mostly done with this, and we'll just keep them for whatever in case we ever want to set them off. But we're not going to spend any time on that. Don't worry about that. That's not why we're here. Why we're here is for this. So a quick refresher for those who may have not caught the episode when we started this. This is the first product for the final stage of the space elevator. Here we are looking to produce the assembly director systems. And that requires a number of steps, some of which are very demanding, including needing 1.2 million cable. And we like to do, we like to have all our stuff kind of put together before we produce when it comes to the space elevators. And I thought it'd be fun to do 1.2 million in one storage, and that's what this is. We have all 1.2 million stored up, and we just ran out of power. And as you can see, I've diverted the cable off because we don't need it anymore. You can see it's completely full. So this will be 1.2 million plus a little bit of extra because of what's on the belts. But that's fine, that's perfectly fine. And we're gonna need to convert all of that into automated wiring. Now we have all the stators that we need, and everything else is all stored up and ready to go, but it's going to take some time because this is going to require us to produce 60,000, that's 60,000, of these products. And regardless of the speed of these assemblers, there's another metric to take into consideration, which is that one Mark V belt only goes at 780 per minute. So if we have 1.2 million cables that need to pass through one Mark V belt at 780 per minute, we come up with 25.6 hours just for the belts to deliver all the cable. And that's this many of assemblers. So I'm not so worried about the output as much as just the time it takes to deliver the cable. Now, we can work around this. If we want, we can expand this to say 2 rows, and we could split these in half and, say take a output from one of these down here and run it into a set of assemblers and another set over there, and that would knock us down to about, 12 hours, 13 hours. But I'm just going to let it run as one full thing for now. We'll come back to it later when we see how much time it has taken. We have a lot of projects to do. They're going to take a long time to do. So 24 hours, it's not going to be a big deal. So let's actually go ahead and hook these up. You see I have preset a hole down here. I run it underneath. That's how we're going to deliver the cable. Let's grab that. Connect it. Now we should have cable streaming. Yep, there it goes. And we need stators, which is what we have in these containers here. So I want to make sure, let's cut that off because the train is still running the loop and still delivering them. They're just going into the sink. And come on, it's pixel perfect. Let's line this up. 1, 2. There we go, and all we need now is power, which would be nice so that we'd stop falling out of the sky. Let's grab a pole over here. All right, there we go. Excellent. So I'll set up a storage because again it's gonna be 60,000. So we need to figure out how many these stack in, how many automated wires stack up into one stack. And once we know that, we will be able to figure out how many storages that we need for all 60,000 of them. So we'll come back and take a look at this later after these have had some time to run. All right, so that's going to be it for this. I'm going to start looking for hard drives. There's one within this radius, and we'll do that by, where is it? I don't have it on the bar. Here it is. Let's put it in place of, I want to have music when I'm running. So there we go. So I'm going to run around with this thing and probably our regular jetpack. I don't think I'm going to bother bringing the car out because we're going to have varied terrain that we have to run over, and since you can now use the jetpack and the blade runners at the same time, this is actually probably a little bit easier. So let's start a little montage of finding some hard drives. So cue the montage. Oh, there is one. All right. All right. This probably overlaps with our home one, so I'll bet you we have one in this area. Number 2. All right, yeah, we're down to 3. Oh boy, 3. Oh, there's a guy over there. Oh, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Where is the ladder? Take me inside. All right. I think the desert's pretty well covered already, so I guess we go in this way. All right, resume the montage. Black powder. Lovely. That's all 4 of those. I think I want to head down to our oil area, our original oil area, down here, and just check this tower out. I know we're doing pretty good on hard drives. All right, here we are back at our original oil facility. There is the tower. Now, we can't stay here long because we can't park the train without it blocking up, the oil's route. So I think we're just going to come in and out and make a decision on whether or not we're going to stay and look for hard drives. Or if, at the least we'll have the information on, what's waiting for us in this area. All right, 1 hard drive. Let's see if it's in range. It is not, which means it's probably up in those hills. And to be honest, I'm not in the mood to do any more running and jumping. I think we've done quite enough. Quite enough indeed. So let's head back home and talk about how we're going to start the next phase of our factory. Okay, so we've come back home, and on my way back I kind of remembered that we needed to process the hard drives, not just collect them. Probably should have been doing that as we went along, but that's all right. We can do some more montage because it might take a while for me, but it won't take a while for you. So what we're mostly looking for is the alternate for batteries, but we got a bunch of other kind of junk to get through. So we're gonna go through there, and I don't even know if we're actually going to use the battery alternate. I just know there is one, and I figure now's a good time to grab it, and then we'll decide together whether or not we're going to use it. So begin the montage. There it is, the alternate for the battery. Now let's see if we actually want it. Well, we want it, but I mean, are we gonna actually use it? What are the choices? Oh goodness. See, I thought the alternate still required bauxite, but this, there's more than one alternate. This one doesn't require bauxite. Well, that's excellent. That is absolutely excellent. So we're definitely grabbing that. All right, I think I'll throw a couple more hard drives on and see what we get. We got a lot of garbage already, and then maybe save a couple for the future. All right, and the last hard drive is more stuff we don't care about, but that's fine. We've done a pretty good job of dodging, stuff that we'll never use or just don't care about. This was inevitable, and there are enough hard drives in the game to unlock everything, so I'm not too concerned about it. And you might have noticed in the high speed there in the montage, we ran into an alternate for the automated wiring. That might have done us some good before now, but we're already committed into our usage of it. We also did pick up an alternate for, it was a flexible framework, I think it was, which will be used, I believe, as a subcomponent in one of the products we have yet to make for this tier. So I went in and grabbed it. I don't know if we're going to use it, but that's mostly what that exercise was about, was just let's just grab a bunch of stuff, get them knocked out. Now, I'm going to give a little more thought here. I really like what we saw with the battery alternate, because our primary battery recipe requires aluminum solution, which means bringing in more bauxite and going through all the stuff that we just did when we built up the Illuminati facility. Of course, just getting to the solution is not that difficult. Just a bit of bauxite and a bit of water, but we've really heavily tapped the most convenient locations for our bauxite that our trains can access. And I kind of don't really want to do that. And when we look down here, we're going to have to require sulfur either way, either for sulfuric acid or for just raw sulfur. We'll have to do the math, but we're not really too concerned about that. I do know of one or two sulfur nodes that we're not utilizing so far. There are plenty of them around the map, but I have an idea that I'm thinking about. We aren't using any of our aluminum sheeting because we're using primarily casings. So the aluminum sheeting is only going aside for our belt or our Mark V belts. So we would be able to utilize this one pretty simply. Plastic, we have a lot of plastic left over. That's awesome. And it's super easy to make more wires. We even picked up another alternate as we went along in that little montage. So we'll figure something out. You know, push comes to shove, we could always redirect all that wire that we're making over in the Dunes Desert right now for the cable because we're done making cables. So I think that this is probably going to be the recipe we'll end up going with. And what I want to do is I actually want to go on a scouting mission of my own here, kind of off camera. And I want to find a sulfur node. I know there's a sulfur node somewhere here-ish that I have used in a previous run. And our rail line goes along this way. So it wouldn't be too difficult for us to maybe run it down, maybe even run it over to, well, probably not to that station. Also, once we have batteries up and running, we can make drones. You know, we need the batteries for the power of the drones. And, you know, if we need to, we can always just kind of do an on-site stockpile of sulfur and go build the facility that we're going to build for batteries without actually having a way of delivering the sulfur. And then after the first batch of batteries are made, we could actually set up drones to bring it in. So that's always an option. So give me a little bit of time here. I'm gonna run around, I'm gonna explore the area, throw down a station so that we can throw up a radar dish or two, and just get the area mapped out for our potential usage. All right, scouting has been accomplished. As you can see, I have gone ahead and put up a radar tower, and you can see the sulfur flowing here in the distance, and it's going into a sink for now because we don't need it yet. But I wanted to run it, and I kind of wanted to make sure, is this really where I wanted to use it? Because I had mentioned before that maybe we would go with drones to export the sulfur. But as I looked around the area, I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that. I will do it in the future. But this area is going to be good for actually doing the full production for the batteries. And, you know, after analyzing the area, I had to make sure to be good for it, so I went ahead and built the stations. This is a very tight fit. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but trust me, it is. You can see it's right there on the edge. This took a lot of moving and moving again and deleting, moving. But I got it to fit in a very confined space, and this is perfect. And as you can see, the rails are kind of going all over the place. This is a little non-standard setup. And well, this was kind of me being a little cheeky because we can take advantage of pathing signals, and because there's something that's always kind of annoyed me with this design that I decided I wanted to find a way around, even if I'm just kind of going out of my way to do it. And the problem that we run into, and we run into in other places, I don't know if I've mentioned it, is that, you know, coming in to the rail line or into the station is really straightforward, right? The rail comes in and just goes straight in. That's no big deal. But leaving is another thing, because for leaving, we have to do a U-turn. We have to turn all the way around. And as you might recall, because we've gone over this a number of times, there is a minimum distance that you have to travel in order to take a 90-degree turn, and of course, combining that into another turn, 180, when it comes to rail line. And that distance is 3 for a 90-degree turn. So if we bring this out here a little bit, just illustrate what we're talking about. So if we wanted to, you know, turn, say this rail line was going upwards, and we wanted to turn it around, we'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's get one more here. And we would need a contact point right there. Let's draw that like that. So we do the 1.5 and then the 1.5, right? That gives us our 90-degree turn. Well, if it takes us 3 wide to take a 90, then it takes us 6 wide to do a 180 because we would then continue that on another loop and all the way back. So this is a space inefficiency that we really can't get around. And I wanted to get around it. And you know, see the issue here is like we're leaving the station. As you can see, the station isn't 6 wide. It's only 4, right? Like kind of a 3.5. So if we wanted to turn this around and exit that way, we couldn't do it. And so what I've done is I've had this one go out and pass the other station, and this one turn and go that way. By the way, we have our friend here. We'll talk about him in a moment. But that's what I've done here. I've gotten, like I said, I got a little cheeky here, and I had the outputs crisscross and go down both sides. And I love it. I think it looks great. And it means we don't have to expand outwards beyond the width of the stations. So this is going to work out really well. Now I'm still going to have to maybe be a little creative with our spacing for the the freight platforms, but I think we have them both going inwards that we'll have enough room to export and import materials, because we're going to have the rail lines right up against it. But we'll worry about that later. So the second thing that I want to go over is this input. Now, I did get a little non-standard here, right? Normally we would have a line that would just kind of come in here and go across and then drop off on each one of them. But then, under that setup, we'd normally have these lines merging and then coming around and going out. And we're not doing that this time. So I thought, what the heck? Let's we'll just kind of center this more or less and have this, merge on the way out. And we'll just cross lines all over the place. And this is kind of unnecessary, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to illustrate how pathing signals work. Now, we've mentioned it in a previous episode, but having more of an illustration of it, I think here will help people understand better how they work and how they benefit over blocking signals, and why you might want to use one instead of a blocking signal, or maybe a blocking signal instead of a pathing signal. So we're going to go as briefly as we can, because I know we're kind of running out of time here. This entire pink area, or all these pink rails, is considered one block. It is surrounded by either pathing signals or blocking signals, but on all ends there are signals, which is sectioning it off as one block. Now, if we had used all blocking signals, that would mean only one train could be anywhere on a pink line at a time. And that's fine. In most cases, that's normal. However, with a pathing signal, it allows a train that's approaching the signal to declare the specific route it's going to take through the block. And the game is smart enough to know where there is collision of rail lines, so it can tell where rails will not intersect. So we have this train station right here, right, that goes, loops around, and comes back out. And let's say we use this as our input station. And we're going to bring in materials from different locations, so we're going to have more than one train coming into this one station. And they could come here roughly at the same time. Well, with a pathing signal, we could have that one, say that train's leaving and he's looped around and he's on his way out. When he hits that pathing signal right there, he's going to reserve that line that goes zoop, zoop, and goes right on out. And we could have one coming in at the same time that would reserve this going zoop, right in here. So you can see that this pink line right here does not intersect with that pink line leaving. And this would allow both trains to pass each other without blocking each other's path. And that's the advantage of a pathing signal. Now, you don't want to do too much with pathing signals because they can chain. So if you have multiple pathing signals in a line, the train will reserve multiple blocks ahead of it. And so you kind of want to break them up with blocking signals. I mean, there are some scenarios where you might want to chain them, but in most cases you're going to want just one pathing signal dead-ended by a blocking signal. And that's what we got going here. So this is going to work out beautifully for us. And this guy over here, he's coming around. So this is another feature I'm going to talk about. But the big plan here is going to be that we're going to build batteries right here on this spot. Literally on this spot. We're going to build over the stations, and the stations will be kind of in the basement, and the building's going to be on top of it. And it's going to come out pretty cool. And here we have Oh, it's going to be another feature, which is this guy. So give me a second here. Let's wait for him to arrive. And you'll see here that I have marked out his height of where he's going to pass over and actually through the building. That's what those are for. So I know where he's going to pass through here. He's going to turn, he's going to just miss that, and he's going to go out the side of the building. So this is going to have both a manufacturing hub for batteries and an aviary for our moth friend. So he will be able to fly through the building. So this kind of middle section is going to be open for him, and we'll probably have a lower section because we're going to have to make a lot of wire for this. And then we'll have probably an upper section for the assemblers for the batteries. But that is all going to be next episode because we are out of time. So this is the plan. But let's get back home and wrap this up because we are definitely out of time. All right, that is gonna wrap it for today. Oh yeah, we got all kinds of progress. I'm excited about that we've basically wrapped up all the final Fixmas stuff. All the fireworks and stuff are manufactured and snowballs. So anything that we want to pull from in the future, we'll be able to do so. We have the next step of the space elevator now processing. Again, that's going to take, I don't know, like 25 or so hours to complete, but that's no big deal, right? That's something running in the background. It'll take care of itself, not a problem. And we have established our foothold in the grasslands, and our location for the batteries is now defined. We have all the resources that we're going to need for that. So next episode, we can leap into getting that up and running and look to be able to expand into drone technology, which is going to be super neat. It's going to open up the rest of the map because, the middle of the map really is not very accessible to trains, but it's super easy to run power out there and drop down some drones. So some of the harder to reach resources will now be more in reach. But we will explore that next time. Also, if you're watching this the day it came out, you might notice it came out a day early. Normally we publish on Sundays. We're publishing this one on a Saturday, however. The reason is because normally we stream on Saturdays, but this Saturday I have a prior engagement, and so I'm going to stream on Sunday instead. So this is a unique opportunity for me to say before it actually happens that tomorrow there will be a live stream. Of course, it won't be for Satisfactory, it will be for Subnautica most likely. But if you watch this series and you haven't caught any of our live streams, it'd be great to have you stop in and say hi and hang out with the other gaming enthusiasts who enjoy the same kind of games that you do. But thank you very much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next episode.